First, you'll set up your paper just like we do with our thumbnail sketches and label each box for the medium that we will use. So watercolor pencil, colored pencil, oil pastel, and then marker. We'll start by just drawing a basic moon shape to represent that moon that we see in Van Gogh's The Starry Night. And starting with the watercolor pencil, you just take your first color, layer it on fairly heavily towards the outside edge, but don't color in the whole moon, because what you'll do next is wet your paintbrush and you'll spread that color out with the water. You'll do the same thing for the sky surrounding, just a really quick kind of basic outline first. Again, not coloring in the whole area because you'll use your brush with water to spread that color out. And remember, the Van Gogh style is very painterly, so we want to leave some of those marks showing through when we spread the watercolor pencil. And then we're also going to add some layers to it. So now you can go back over with a second color. I'm using purple here. Again, keeping a lot of lines in your shading to give it that painterly look. And then you can go back in and blend a little more with your water. You can add a second layer to the inside of the moon as well. Here I'm using orange. And again, just a light layer and then a little bit of water to blend those colors together. And you can always go back over it with a regular colored pencil as well. So if you found that you've blended the colors a little too much and you don't have that nice kind of painterly look, just go back over it with a regular colored pencil and then you can get those nice lines in there. All right, now moving on to just the regular colored pencil. We'll start with yellow as well. This time we're going to cover the whole section of the moon with the colored pencil. Notice that I'm working in short lines and I am leaving some of the paper showing through. So normally I tell you to, make sure there is no white paper showing, but with this style of art, you want to work in layers. So it's okay if your first layer does have some white paper showing through, because you're going to go over multiple times with different colored pencils in order to get that painterly look and to fill in the space. Again, notice I'm working in really short lines. I'm also going to add a swirl to this one, just like we would see in The Starry Night. And then just gradually build up your sky. So you can bring in a second color, a color like purple or a deeper blue, and just use short lines to follow that space. Now the oil pastel, you'll work in short lines again, leaving some of the white paper showing through. And this one you're really going to have to layer. So this one might take a little longer than the other techniques, because the more you layer, the better it will look. So I started with an orange here, and then I layered a yellow on top. And I'm even going to go in with a red. So think of, warm colors that you can use for the moon in this one, and then cool colors for the sky surrounding the moon. But I'm working in short lines again, giving it that kind of painterly look. You want to get the oil pastel to mimic paints. And if you layer, you will be able to get that same effect that you see in The Starry Night. I'm going over with a purple. Now trying to fill in some of the empty space I have there, some of that white paper in between my lines. And finally, the marker. So this one is really fun, I think. You'll leave some of the white paper showing through. And for this technique, it's actually okay to leave some of the paper showing through in between the lines. It kind of gives it like this really neat kind of painted quality, but you don't want to layer the markers too much because they'll start to look a little muddy. I'm adding a nice swirl here, just like the other ones, to mimic the sky and the starry night. And again, notice how much paper I am leaving open in between my lines. Now I am going to go in with a second color to kind of fill that in. But the direction of the lines is also what gives us the movement. So think of that too. What direction do you want your clouds to move? How much movement do you want your piece to have?